everybody, Chad, Nobody Else's Auto. Let's take a look at this super cool 1941 Chevy pickup. Now, a few months ago, I pulled this out of a lean-to where it had been sitting for decades. Tucked back under that lean-to, covered in stuff, buried in the dirt. But we got her drug out. We did the video on that. You just seen it coming out of there. Be sure to check out that full video of exactly as we found this truck. But now we've got her back to the yard. Got a little bit of the junk out of it. Got it cleaned up a bit. Let's take a little bit better look at it. Now, this is an earlier version of this style of truck for 1941 era because it does have these pot metal based park lights with this steel cap on top of it. As we get into the later style of this truck, like the 46 era, this is just a basic steel cap over the whole assembly. So that's a telltale sign this is an earlier one. However, it is obviously an early production one of these because it still uses chrome. As we know, as we got closer to World War II, chrome was being saved for the war effort. There were actually the blackout models. This pickup actually still has a chrome grille, chrome headlight bezels, chrome bumper. So this one actually did still have a lot of chrome on it. We've even got a blackout 42 Chevy right over there too. So this is a different time period, but this one kind of odd. It still has all this chrome on it. Now, I'm not sure why somebody removed the grille emblem and put this piece of flat steel on it, but they must have had a reason at that time. A few dings and dents in the grille, but really the front of this truck looks pretty good because it had a handy dandy grill guard on it. Now, we're used to a grill guard on today's world basically covering the whole front of the truck. Back then, you had a bumper that was just a slight curved flat piece of steel, and this was your accessory bumper grill guard for the day. Now, one thing about it, that didn't protect a heck of a lot. And these trucks were used and used hard, so we can see some dinghies in the corners of the fenders, things like that. These trucks were workhorses. That's what they were for. Today, they're highly regarded. People restore them, people love them, they love the styling. Back then, they were built for one purpose only, and that was to work hard and get the job done. That's what's cool about this truck. We're going to see some period modifications to this truck that directly relate to that era of work. So we can take a quick look at this pickup. Looked like it was originally blue. It looks like somebody added some silver to this body line. There's actually a red pinstripe underneath that, so I'm wondering if maybe this had a red pinstripe and somebody painted over the silver. Not really sure, but it definitely gives a cool worn look to it. This one does have stainless side hood moldings on it as well. Under the hood, pretty much your basic old Chevy pickup. 216 6-cylinder, nothing exotic, nothing fancy, just there again, a good basic power plant that was designed to get the job done, and that's what this one was used for. We'll come around here and take a peek inside of this old Chevy. And the seat springs are gone, but the dash and everything else is still all here. One nice thing about this truck is it really looks pretty solid as we look it over. We look down here on the floors, in the corners, all this structure along here, even back in here where it ties into the cab corner, all looks good and solid. We can even roll right back around. Even the cab corners don't look too bad in this old pickup. And as we work our way around the back, we're going to start to see some of these modifications. Now, this pickup did come off of an old farmstead. And we can see here that this running board was cut and it's completely missing a section, as well as the corner notched out of the bed here. Now, what a lot of pickups back in that day were used for, now I can't swear to it that that's what this was, but a lot of these had a grain blower in them. And now today, in today's world, we think of big 18-wheelers hauling grain to the elevators. Well, back in the day, you hauled grain in whatever you had that would haul it. So if one truck was full but the pickup was sitting there, they would put grain in them and haul it with it. They did whatever they had to do to get the job done. So I think this probably had a grain blower in it. Now, over time, obviously that apparatus has been removed, but it had a hole in the floor of the bed. So as we peek inside the bed here, they still wanted to use this pickup, so they literally, it appears as though, cut a chunk of a road sign and bolted it to the floor to patch the hole so they could still use the bed of the pickup. Kind of interesting, but there again, these pickups were not showpieces back in the day. They were workhorses. Now, in today's world, with all the fancy new pickups we see today, we're used to step bars, We're used to beds that come with a step right here cut into the side of the bed. Steps in the rear bumper. Tailgates that drop down and basically have a ladder that drops out of them to get in the back of the pickup. Well, back in the 40s and 50s, they didn't have that fancy newfangled kind of stuff. But sometimes those type of things were still needed. So if you happen to have a Model T running board laying around, apparently you also had a truck step, because that's what they did to this truck. This appears as though it was an old Model T running board. They cut it to size. They shaved the corners off so you didn't have sharp corners. They fabricated some brackets so that this step would basically sit flat across the top of this curved fender, thereby making it easier to get in and out if necessary. Kind of one of those things, you did what you had to do, and back then that's what happened. People did what they had to do to get the job done. That's an example of that. Now, these pickups, most of these pickups did not come with a rear bumper. It was an option. If you even ordered the rear bumper, though, it was essentially a carbon copy of the front bumper. Not much to it. Well, that's not a very solid, sturdy bumper for a workhorse truck. So, as we look at this pickup, we see that problem was remedied. They built this big, heavy rear bumper. They wrapped it around the fender. They incorporated a step into it. They put big, heavy support bars on the side of it, and they ran it all the way across the back, and even put a place to put a hitch on this rear bumper. So there again, a perfect example of you did what you had to do to get the job done. That's what happened to this pickup. Another interesting feature about this pickup, and we looked at this when we loaded this pickup up, this pickup was last tagged in Kansas in 1973. However, when they put the 1973 tag on, they stacked it on top of the previous tag, which was stacked on top of the previous tag, which was stacked on top of the previous tag. There are 4 license plates on here, and if we look at the back of this one, we can see the 70 in it. So this still has its 1970, 71, 72, and 73 license plates, all still on the tag bracket. Just another interesting kind of neat feature. The back of this old pickup still literally has some big boulders in it. Has some T-posts working on the fence. Even got an old scoop shovel in it. So, if you're ready to move some grain, even has a scoop shovel still in the back of the pickup. As we kind of work our way around this side of the old truck, we see some beehive type taillights that have been added to this side. Basically, they were clearance lights that were apparently added for taillights. We see the step bumper on this side wrap around this fender as well. Once again, we see our custom step on this side of the fender. Once again, rounded off corners, fabricated brackets to keep the step straight. A lot of time, effort, and work put into these modifications to make this pickup a good, usable truck. Take a peek in this side over on the passenger side, and once again, first off, we see another accessory. Air conditioning. Yes, there it was. This one's a little rough, but you had a dash fan that you could crank out the window. Of course, this had the window that would crank out on the bottom, turn the fan on, and that was your ventilation system in this era. But there again, this side of the cab corners look good. All along the rockers, up into the front corner. Structurally, all looks really good. Now we can see where the battery hole was modified. This has been cut out, but to get a bigger battery in and out of there, but that is a removable panel, so that's not a big deal. We see another accessory, an underdash heater. Yes, a lot of these trucks did not come with a heater. So it was very common for something like that to be added under the dash. It would literally run 2 hoses to it, bolted to the firewall, and had a switch, turned it on, opened up the doors, and it would blow air through the heater core. So a very basic heater type system, but there again, when you don't have anything, it's not bad. So as we come around up here on this side, kind of the same thing, dings and dents around the front fender as well. On this side, because they literally stick right out there, very vulnerable to damage, but at least this is good, thick, heavy metal that could be worked out on a lot of these. But overall, a pretty cool pickup. So, great look to it. Some modifications that some people probably won't like, but what I like about them is these pickups and all these old vehicles, they have their own story. They had their own life. And when we bring them back, we're rejuvenating that. And some of the stories that this pickup tells, even though we can't hear them firsthand from the people that did it 60, 70, 80 years ago, the truck still tells the story. Really, it had several accessories: dash fan, heater, front bumper grill guard, some cool add-on accessories, some cool add-on modifications, and really just tells the story of what a lot of these old pickups went through. We see a pickup like this today that's been highly restored to a very high standard, and that's great, and they are a great design, they're beautiful. But what I love about something like this is the story that ties the past to the present. You know, a lot of the people that probably did these modifications are probably long gone. We can't hear their stories firsthand. But we can look at something like this and we can vision it in our minds of what people dealt with back in the day, what these vehicles were used for, because they were transportation, and how they were adapted to do their job. So, kind of a neat old pickup. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to catch the video where we pulled this thing out of the lean-to. But neat old truck. If you got any questions about this old 41 Chevy or any of the other 2,000 cars and trucks we've got here on the ground at Nobody Else's Auto, just give me a call, 620-786-4428. Having a short conversation about your project, year, make, model, body style, the parts you need. All that information is critical for me to know if I've got something here that may or may not be able to help you out with your project. So give me a shout. Stay tuned. We've got a lot more cool videos coming up. So if you like these old cars and old trucks, you're definitely going to want to check out the channel, Nobody Show. Definitely click that subscribe button because we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up, a lot of cool new inventory coming up, more trucks, more cars, a lot of neat stuff. You're not going to want to miss any of it. So hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you like the old 41 Chevy. Stay tuned. We've got a lot more cool stuff coming up, and we sure hope to see you soon on the next video. Thanks for watching, everybody.